My name is Nina Ahmed, and I'm the interim president of the Pennsylvania chapter of the National Organization for Women. I'm really grateful for all of you taking time on this busy weekend to be here, and to SEPTA for working with us so we could be here and share what we are feeling during this time. And this is really a beginning of a conversation, so that we are looking to make sure we end rape culture in this city, in this state, and hopefully in this nation and the world. Women and other marginalized communities are so targeted by sexual violence that we need to take a stand and talk about it. We hope that we can collectively have a sustainable plan going forward to end this rape culture and make our region safe. Safety of our public spaces, including transit, is a human right. I was just speaking to a reporter saying that when someone, a woman, a trans woman, an LGBTQ person, has to think 3 times, what am I wearing, where am I going, what is my route, am I going to be safe? That is causing us to be hampered in our ability to participate in society, in our economic cycle, and it has an impact on all of us. So we must work to make sure that we have safety. The primary reason we are here is because we at NOW have been outraged that another sexual assault took place in a public space, this time on public transit. Even more outraged that there has not been an outpouring of support or even acknowledgement of the trauma of the survivor victim of this assault. We have talked, this conversation has been hijacked about who did what, who saw what. All of that has to be addressed, but it has to be centered on the trauma that has been suffered by this person. And we must remember that she's hearing all this. She's watching all this. And not once has anybody said, we are sorry that this happened to you. We are going to make sure it never happens again. This is our plan. And please know we love you and support you. And if there's anything you need, we are here. There are resources we can make available. This message has come from no one. And hence we're having this conference now, this rally now, to make sure people understand that's who needs to be centered in the conversation. We have sent SEPTA a list of things that is also true for law enforcement, true for other organizations and government agencies. And these are going to be that based on the facts that every 68 seconds, an American is sexually assaulted. 68 seconds. Think about that. While you're standing here, people are being assaulted. Nationwide, 81% of women and 43% of men report experiencing some form of sexual harassment and or assault in their lifetime. While we know that a person of any gender or sexual orientation can be sexually assaulted, transgender and non-binary individuals and communities have experienced shocking amounts of violence and discrimination. This means we have to not only stop it, we also have to have our authorities, the police, people who take care of people once they've been violated, that they understand who they're dealing with. They use the right terminology, they use the right name. These are important things. When you have been so violated and you're again being violated because people are not respecting who you are, that's another piece of the puzzle that we have to work with and educate people. A majority of child victims are between 12 and 17, and of the victims under 18, 34% of victims of sexual assault and rape are under age 12. 66% of victims of sexual assault are between the age of 12 and 17. And listen to this, only 25 out of every 1,000 rapists will end in prison. Only 25 out of 1,000. So we here at NOW, which is an organization called the National Organization for Women, was founded in 1966 with the purpose of advocating for women's rights. Out of our 6 core issues, ending violence is one of them. Safety is a concern for transit workers and riders. We require training of our own communities to be proactive bystanders to stop the violence. We demand, let me underscore, we demand a collective and coordinated response from SEPTA, law enforcement, elected officials, administrations at the state, local, and federal level as follows. Immediately institute live monitoring of cameras on public transit, increase SEPTA security measures, including use of trained social services personnel at stations, trains, and buses, enhance public engagement of the See Something, Do Something campaign, and we will help with that. Inform all the passengers of the SEPTA app to report violence, the emergency call button on trains, other tools to safely engage as a bystander, work with community partners across Pennsylvania to address local problems so they don't spill onto the platforms. We understand that it is a lot of work for SEPTA to do, but we're all in this together. Publish elaborate budgets allocated to public safety. We will be looking at that very carefully. What is your priority? Publish available stats and data on violence on SEPTA and stations. Make sure we have some kind of way that we can see what is happening and where it's happening. There are tools already available. I know the DA's office has a tool available online, so does the police, so there's a lot of our organizations, but we need to make it easy and accessible for people to know what is happening where. And finally, we need to look into, and we're agnostic here about the feasibility of a bystander law in Pennsylvania. Does it work? Is it useful or is it hurtful? We need to look into all of that. So I want to quickly stop and say that the next person coming up is going to be the second woman to lead SEPTA, the General Manager, Leslie Richards. So thank you.
Thank you, Nina, and the Pennsylvania National Organization for Women for organizing this rally and for inviting SEPTA to play a part in it. I can guarantee you SEPTA is going to be working with you, and we will be responding to every single thing that you just mentioned. I'm going to give you an update of where we are, but we will continue to work together. We stand with you and the other organizations here today in support of the victim of the October 13th rape on our system. We want to spread the word about the ways in which we can all work together to keep our system and our environment safe. Over the past 19 months, social problems and quality of life issues have all been exacerbated. These are all issues that we face as a global society, and while they are not unique to SEPTA, they converge together here and present many challenges. In this case, it was a violent crime against a woman. The rape that occurred on the Market-Frankford line train was a heinous act. I'm grateful to our SEPTA employee for recognizing that this was a situation that needed to be reported to police and calling it in. I'm also grateful for the SEPTA transit police officers who responded and apprehended the suspect. This terrible crime received a lot of attention, and it should have. A woman was violently assaulted. We need to act now and act together to prevent this from happening again. That's why SEPTA has acted to expand our efforts to keep our customers and our employees safe. Over the next days and weeks, we will be developing a campaign to heavily publicize the SEPTA Transit Watch Act, expanding the security guard concept to cover trains, increasing the number of social service specialists working on SEPTA from 7 to more than 50 to help with outreach to the vulnerable population. We'll be equipping social service specialists with police radios to enable direct communication with transit police. We'll be issuing every one of our 282 custodians a SEPTA cell phone to enable direct communication with our transit police dispatch. We'll be creating a virtual patrol center for which we are in the process right now of hiring specialists. We'll be continuing our efforts to hire more police officers. We're initiating a high school internship program to encourage city residents to join our transit police. And we'll continue to use our YouTube channel to seek the public's help in identifying unknown suspects. Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer and I have been in contact, and we are in full agreement that we must do all we can and work collaboratively together, again with the Upper Darby Police and the public, to keep people safe and to prosecute crimes. Since this incident happened, we have publicized the various ways for anyone to report an incident on SEPTA. First and foremost, call 911. It is there for an emergency, and you should use it if needed. Emergency call boxes are on our subway trains and at stations and are a valuable secondary option. But by calling 911, you help facilitate the fastest possible response. Also, the SEPTA Transit Watch app can allow you to quickly and discreetly report information about non-emergency matters. We want to do all we can to encourage everyone to be extra eyes and ears. If you see something, say something. If there is something that doesn't look quite right to you on our system, or you wouldn't want your child to see it, the police will take appropriate action. Help us by reporting it. As a woman and as a mother, I understand what it feels like to feel unsafe, especially in a public space. And I understand what it's like to worry about a daughter. So I know I speak on behalf of SEPTA, and there are a number of our employees here today, including members of our board, different divisions, senior management, and all levels. And others have also reached out to me. And trust me when I say our hearts go out to the victim of this rape on the Market Frankfurt line. For her and for all our mothers, daughters, wives, sisters, brothers, and sons, I ask you to please join us in securing SEPTA's safety and everyone's safety wherever they are at all times. Thank you.
I just want to remind all of us that we have a train to catch, so to keep your comments brief, even though I know we want to hear from all of you for a long time. Next is our very beloved former public defender, Kier Gray.
Woo! So much. I will keep it brief. Good afternoon, and I want to thank Nina Ahmad for organizing this, the National Organization for Women, and thank you so much to Leslie Richards, who was my first boss in a leadership role, and she provided everything that she just said to me. I think these issues are so important, not just when we have an incident that was heinous as this, but to remind women everywhere that we understand your vulnerabilities, that we understand the marginalization that sometimes you feel, that we understand the fact that you feel unprotected, and to understand that when we don't raise these issues, not just when there's problems, but because we understand each other, we are not providing that village of support that helps women become who they are to help raise a village. I firmly believe that no matter what role you play in society, no matter what you've reached as a woman, when something like that happens to you, it changes you. It makes you less able to be your best. And it makes you feel like no matter what you've poured in to this community, you're never going to give it back. So this is the time to make sure that we're standing up for people and showing and putting a face and putting a plan to action, to show women that we are with you in solidarity, no matter where you are. There are people who have no choice but to ride these trains. There are people that have no choice but to ride this system. And they need to know that it's not as easy for you to choose not to ride because you don't feel safe. But it's easy for us to say, we are going to band together. And it's not just on police, it's not just on SEPTA. Unfortunately, it is all of us. That village that we used to have, let's bring it back and let's start now. Thank you so much.
Organization, Women Organized Against Rape. We have Rachel Copen and Teresa Walston here to come up. They're co-executive directors. Thank you again.
Thank you, everyone. We are very grateful to be here today. I am Rachel Copen, and here with my counterpart, Teresa White-Walston. We are the acting co-executive directors of WAR Philadelphia Center Against Sexual Violence. So we are short on time, so we want to highlight some of the key things. We want to not only remind Philadelphia, but also show the nation that this city does deeply care about the healing of sexual violence survivors and sexual violence prevention. The city is invested in this care through WAR. WAR provides a 24-hour hotline, and you can access that hotline by calling 215-985-3333. The services that we offer free of charge are counseling, medical accompaniment, court accompaniment, anti-sex trafficking services, and we also provide services to the loved ones of survivors of sexual violence. Again, these are all free of charge, and they also include free specialized trauma therapy. In addition to that, we have an array of prevention services, and I'll leave that to Teresa to explain.
Thank you, Rachel. Good afternoon, and we're very grateful to be here. We can stop sexual assault. We can do it, but it will take the community. All of WAR's providers, every staff member, every board member, and volunteers, we are all trained sexual assault counselors. Our prevention education programs are designed to build compassion, empathy, raise awareness for your surroundings, your family, and to promote safety. We also want you to know that in the state of Pennsylvania, there is a crisis center in every county, and together with WAR, we formed the Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape. Today, along with members of WAR's Board of Directors, our staffs, and our volunteers, we have representatives from the Victim Services Center of Montgomery County and the Delaware County Victim Assistance Centers. We want you to know that in Pennsylvania, in Philadelphia, and our counties, we care about survivors and we care about prevention. We want to thank NOW and SEPTA for giving us an opportunity to raise awareness about this issue, to throw their support behind the victim, survivor, and also to give WAR the opportunity to let Philadelphians know we are here for you, we will always be here for you. Please feel free to reach out to us on our hotline. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This is an enormous resource, and we must make sure everybody knows about WAR. We next have our majority leader of council, City Council of Philadelphia, Council Member Sherelle Parker, also Council Member for the 9th District.
I want to be really brief here, Nina, and say to you, Vanessa, PA, Philadelphia chapter now, thank you so very much for bringing us all together to affirm in a collaborative effort that we have zero tolerance for sexual assault here and any other place in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Tell me your name again. Teresa. One of the things that I thought we had been done with in the city of Philadelphia that I learned when I was a state representative in Harrisburg and working with that Pennsylvania Coalition Against Rape is these very unfortunate and insensitive thoughts that people have about how victims of sexual assault are supposed to respond. They watch Law and Order so much that they think as soon as you have been assaulted, you're supposed to scream out, you're supposed to cry out, you're supposed to ask for help. That is not normal. Most victims of sexual assault show counterintuitive behaviors, and exactly what you think they should be doing that's natural is not what happens. What we have to make sure that we do is not allow these victims to be victimized again, right, by our insensitive comments on social media, in the newspaper, in the press, telling them about how they should respond. We have to work in a collaborative effort. Leslie Richards, you just laid out the systemic plan. There has to be processes and protocols and systems in place to ensure that government does what it is supposed to do. But let's just stop and think about our role and not think that we know how people are supposed to respond when they have been traumatized. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, we're much better than that. Let's do better.
Next, we're going to have our District Attorney, Larry Krasner, here. You know, he's our Chief Law Enforcement Officer, so this is really important we hear from him.
Thank you. So first of all, I'm very grateful to have been invited by Nina Ahmad and NOW to this gathering. I think it is incredibly important that people see that when there is a terrible incident, we all come together and we all work together.
Yes.
It is a pleasure to have the chance to be here among others with two members of council with whom I work all the time, Councilmember Parker and Councilmember Kim, and so many others, including our allies at WOAR, with whom we work all the time. Let me just be quick about this. There's a sign over here that says rape is a real crime. Would you bring that up, please? Would you be kind enough to do that? Just stand here with me. Rape is a real crime. Well, yes, it is. Rape is a real crime. Sexual assault is a real crime. On the list of the most serious crimes that our society recognizes, it is right at the top with the other ones that you can name. And we have to see it in that way. It takes on an additional dimension when it is done in a public space, because it has the tendency to terrorize people who may be victimized, especially women, to terrorize them that they cannot leave their homes, that they cannot ride SEPTA. Well, the last lesson that we should take from this is stay away from SEPTA. What we need to do is we need to all be on SEPTA, because if we are all on SEPTA, we're going to reduce the possibility that something like this is going to happen again. Now, you all know that this is not a Philadelphia case. This is a case in a different county. I make a point of not commenting on what another prosecutor is doing. But I want to make sure you know that in Philadelphia, with these partners in Philadelphia, we try as many rape cases and sexual assault cases as we try homicide cases, even during a pandemic, because it is that much of a priority. Rape is a real crime, and I'm honored that you've given me the chance to be here to show support for what you're all doing. Thank you very much.
Next, we're going to have our City Council at-large member, Helen Gim, speaks. She's a fierce advocate for many things, and here she is standing with us today.
Thank you so much, Nina. I am proud to stand here with so many of our women leaders, Councilmember Cheryl Parker, our former public defender, Kara Bradford Gray, with the leadership of NOW under Nina and Vanessa, with the leadership of SEPTA here under Leslie Richards, with our district attorney who has stood with women, to say that we are here to stand with women all over the city of Philadelphia. We are here to stand with all victims of sexual assault, no matter who they may be, where it may happen, that we are united in standing firm. This city stands with you, we stand by you, and we will protect you. There will be no shaming of victims. I want to thank Officer Nestel for making it very clear that we are continually, in all of our spaces, especially when it comes to the public spaces. I cannot tell you what it means to say that for so many young women especially, how much it means to say that there will be visibility for all of us. In our worst moments, in moments of grief, in moments of trauma, there will be visibility for victims at all times. I want to thank NOW for WAR, for all the tremendous work that you do, and I want to thank SEPTA especially and everybody who came out here to say that we are standing as a united public. We will defend our public spaces, we will look out for one another, and all victims of sexual assault will have a voice in Philadelphia.
In the interest of time, I just want to point out Vanessa Fields. She's the president of Philadelphia NOW. Our vice president for Pennsylvania NOW, Jeanette Jeter. They're going to speak at the other end, but I have our last speaker is Nadim Bezar, and he is, let me just make sure, he's a defense attorney for Client Spectre, and he represents clients who have experienced child abuse in alternative placement settings, foster care, for example, sexual assault on college campuses, and human trafficking. Nadim.
Good afternoon, good citizens of Philadelphia. This is awesome. This is sad and awesome at the same time. It's sad because we're here for a very, very upsetting reason. It's awesome because we're actually having this dialogue. So with that, I want to thank NOW, I want to thank SEPTA, I want to thank all the incredible people that are standing behind me. SEPTA, the plan that you've outlaid is just tremendous, because enough is enough. It is time now for our citizens to use the subway system, to use SEPTA, to live in public spaces safely. Over the last month or two, I've spent a lot of time going up and down the Northeast Corridor, lecturing about sexual assault and violence, particularly against young adults and women on college campuses, women in public spaces. It is mind-boggling that we still have to educate public. We continue to ask our women what they were wearing, what they were doing, where they were going, and who they were with. It's time to educate everyone. It's time to stop asking women what they were wearing and teach all citizens to stop raping and assaulting our citizens. So with that, I thank NOW, I thank SEPTA for the opportunity to speak.
All right, thank you, everybody. What we're going to do now is those of us who want to come with us, we're going to get up on a train. SEPTA is going to give us passage to get on a train to get to 69th Street Terminal, and we're going to have a rally there with officials there, elected leaders there. And anybody with the yellow vest on is who you'll follow to get access to the train. And when we're taking this line, which is the blue line, the Market Frankfurt L, from here to 69th Street. And this is a solidarity ride because this is where it happened. The sexual assault, the rape happened on this leg of the trip, so that's why we're going there. So please, thank you all for being here. Thank you for the media. We want the media to make sure the narrative is correct, that this is about centering the survivor who was victimized on this train and in a public space. So thank you all for being here. Please follow us, those who can.